And in Texas, the House of Representatives failed to reach a quorum yet again. That happened today. Texas Republicans threatened to cut budgets and move to arrest Democrats who have fled the state, thus preventing a quorum. The Texas House is set to reconvene Monday. Hunter Woodall joins me now. Hunter, you've been following this saga in Texas as we have here at the Takeout. I want to play for you sound from the governor, Greg Abbott, on a podcast recently. I think it was as early as today, because it gets to this question. Where does it all end? Wake me when it's over. Well, Governor Abbott laid out what he thinks might be the sum total of all this. Let's listen.
How does this end?
The way it always does, and that is the Democrats always come back, and it's going to end with these maps being passed. And, what I'm thinking now is if they don't start showing up, I may start expanding it. We may make it 6 or 7 or 8 new seats we're going to be adding on the Republican side.
So, to level set, 5 seats is the Trump requested goal for redrawing maps and getting 5 more favorable Republican seats out of the Texas map. But this is not just a Texas situation. This has spawned conversations about redistricting across the country.
That's exactly right, Major. I mean, this fight is now spilling into multiple states. You have California Democrats saying, hey, they might try and redraw those maps. That could essentially offset the Texas gains here that Republicans are trying to make. But it also could expand to other Republican states, Missouri, Indiana.
Florida,
they've talked about. And it really could create this back and forth tension that could absolutely overtake some of these midterm dynamics. We know midterms are supposed to be, pretty tough for the party in power. But right now, it's, upsetting the apple cart.
And the audience can see a map of the states we just name-checked. And if I looked at the reporting on this today, which I did, the estimates are if you take all those red states and redraw the maps, you could get to maybe 12 plus R. If you look at those Democratic states, you get to plus 8. So maybe that's 4, a net gain of 4 for Republicans. If there's a wave, that's not going to hold back the wave. But if it's close, who knows?
And that's the part that we can't quite shake here, is how much does this actually end up mattering to voters too? Because when I talked to a pollster this week, he made the point, usually redistricting doesn't really move the needle with your average voters. But what Texas Republicans are trying here mid-decade, it might break through. It might cause more of this, because we're not used to seeing this back and forth, Republicans and Democrats. Both parties, go and they redraw maps like this. But doing this mid-decade in such a harsh way, it's really gaining attention.
And one of the underlying questions in this overall strategy for Republicans and Democrats is, does it light a fire in your base? And whose fire is lit more? Republicans like, oh, we're sticking it to the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, we're redrawing the maps, we should have done it long ago? Or do Democrats say, as they are now saying in Texas, there is something much larger at stake here and everybody needs to get involved? So this has activating power, not just in the states we've name-checked, but maybe nationwide.
Major, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about this today. We're watching the DNC, Democrats sending out fundraising emails about this. We're watching DNC Chair Ken Martin show up and, say, hey, we stand with these Texas Democrats. Democrats have been, it's been a bit of a mess for them so far in these early Trump, months of the second term. This has given them an issue that they think they can rally around, that they can build support around. And that might not have been Republicans' intent with this.
We will stay tuned. As always, Hunter Woodall, I thank you and appreciate it.